Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Nathan Gobes, filling in for Jeffrey Davis this morning. I want to start by thanking MTP Software, the largest sports and entertainment CRM software. And they've built us a wonderful studio here in Natick, and we're really happy to be here. And I'm also happy to be joined by John Dustin of JED Insurance. Welcome, John.
Nathan, I'm happy to be here and appreciate you having me.
Thanks. It's always great to have you co-host. And we've got a returning guest to join us now, Marini, founder of Marini Consulting. Welcome, Megan.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
It's great to have you back. You joined us at one of our entrepreneurial cafes, which are always a great event, and that's where you met John, and I think you guys have some stuff to talk about, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan.
So Megan, it was kind of a great story that you told of transitioning from your computer business to Marini Consulting because of your passion for being a chief people officer. Tell the viewers, the listeners, what occurred there.
Yeah. So I was really embedded in digital marketing, working very closely with the business leader and the organizations and building out these strategies for growth. And it was so apparent that if there was an issue with the people or with the culture, that it was really going to impede growth. And if you think about telling a story or creating connection with your customers, you really want to make sure that the people that you have in place know how to do that and they feel good when they go to work every day. So, excuse me, I just felt really drawn to get a little closer to the heart, if you will, and work with culture.
And so when you go into a company and like, for example, now everything's been kind of rosy with the stock market and real estate up, but things are going to shift and it's an election year and there'll be uncertainty. How important is it for a business to have a solid culture to protect and keep them solvent?
Yeah, it's a great question, John. So we see astounding numbers with companies that put culture ahead of strategy. And what I mean by that is really putting people first and creating a narrative around what I would call the humanity of a company. How do you treat your people? Who are you as a people and as a people collective, right? And what we see is up to 57% more productivity within teams in individual output. So you can think of it as discretionary effort, how much a person wants to work when they show up versus someone who's just going to sort of cruise by at a want to output level. We all know people that just come in and do the bare minimum. And ideally, we want people that are really producing at a high level and doing that consistently because that rubs off on other people. So people say, oh, you're kicking butt? I'm going to kick some butt too. And boom, you've got a small army of people really working hard. So you also see an uptick in retention. And with an uncertain market, that's going to be one of the hot topics in 2020 is definitely going to be how do we keep the people that we have so they don't jump to another company that could be recruiting them from under you.
And I would imagine it would affect sick days and morale on the team.
Yep.
If you're dragging and I'm producing, it probably affects the outcome of the whole company.
Yep.
So how do you go in and help an entrepreneur? Are you doing it as a group? Are you doing it individually? I would imagine you're kind of like a detective looking to find the bad apple.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Someone called me, a client called me like a muskrat or something. And I was like, listen, that's not a compliment. He's like, it really is. He's like, you go in and you go in all of the burrows where no one has gone before and you ask all of these questions and you come back up to the surface with solutions. So that's one of my favorite parts really is the diagnostic. So understanding what the issue is. I just love getting into those more difficult conversations.
And how open are I have to ask this as a business owner,
sure.
How open are the employees when you come in? Because I would think a guy like Nathan might feel threatened if we came in and said, criticize us.
So we're bringing a muskrat into the office.
I know. I don't know if I look like a muskrat or sound like one, but that's a fair question because I think it really depends on the approach that you use. And we know that psychological safety and trust are so important as, laying of the groundwork to have these types of conversations. So when you think about building that culture and creating these conversations, you really need to let people know that you're not there to probe and pick at their performance, but rather to support them and give them what they need. And oftentimes that's so transformative in and of itself to just say, well, tell us what's going on. I know companies that the employees are crying every time they have to put through certain processes that are now in the cloud. It's like, this has slowed down their work week so much. Why is nobody listening and perhaps updating the software? Because it's like, it's just like, why don't people listen to the employees? That's one of the most important things about feeling respected. If you voice something positive or negative and it's just not listened to, you're going to stop telling your opinion. Yeah. And that's very problematic because you can't be all eyes and all ears. You need to have a nice relationship with the people that work for you.
So I would imagine your initial work at the company, you've really got to hit through some barriers and gain trust. What's that experience like? Like when you go into a company, how do you feel in the beginning?
Yeah, that's really
Is
good.
everybody saying, oh, the muskrats here are awesome?
I don't know. I'm gonna be so mad that I told that story because it's gonna stick. No, it's funny. I'm all for a good laugh. So, I think it's all about relationships and letting people know, that you really are there to help them. And I love relationship building anyways, and creating those safe containers to me is probably one of the most interesting things.
How do you quantify it for the business owner? Because I imagine you run into some business owners that first question they say is, what's my return on investment?
Yeah, ROI is everything. Excuse me. So we need to be able to, it's sort of like a micro, every time I go in to do a training, I want to do an assessment to see what happened, what was sort of the temperature at the beginning of the training and what happened at the end. Were we able to have some sort of shift right then and there? And ideally you do, and you build more trust. And then you look more broadly at what the goals are for the objective for the year or the quarter or whatever it is that you're looking at and dealing with. And you literally want to make sure you make those goals. If it's behavioral change versus, a technical transformation, it's going to be a bit different as far as what your ROI is, but you have to be on that track.
Is a lot of this, you're dealing with now many different cultures in a workplace, situational kind of leadership. So you could repeat these, something could be going perfectly fine, and then a year later, does that occur? You get a blend of people, blend of ideas, new leadership.
Yeah, well, things change every time a new person enters a team. It's like a team is in essence a subculture, right? An organism unto itself. So anytime someone comes or goes, also any drastic change with that person's personal life or professional development can change the chemistry and sort of the trajectory of the team. So you're overlaying the strategy. So I use predictive index as a software, people analytics and data visualization.
Did you just get trained in that?
Yeah. I just was recently certified. So recent grad.
Congrats. Saw that.
Thanks, you guys. Yeah, I'm thrilled. It's so robust. It's deep. And basically what you do is you're looking individually at the job fit. So you're taking an individual and understanding their motivations and drives, which can oftentimes be hidden because we sort of flex when we go to work. And oftentimes people are just in the wrong role, or there's certain elements of their job that could perhaps be shifted to someone else. And then you lay the team dynamics and you can see hidden drives of the team. You overlay that with a business strategy and you can predict with a certain amount of certainty. Nothing's perfect, right? It's not an end-all be-all solution, but you can predict what the outcomes will be with the team you have in place and say, listen, we're not going to make our goals with this team. Let's bring in someone from that other division that has innovation, perhaps if you're working on an innovative project.
I see a lot in the field that's sort of, I guess the term would be right-sizing, where businesses want more profit and people to do more work with less people. Does that put a big impact on the work you do? Because I would imagine everybody's stressed today. The stress level of everyone personally and professionally is through the roof.
Yeah, really. I know. It's intense. I think that everybody is really stretched, I think, to produce results consistently. And I think what we see is a lot of stress also when you're leading other people and you can't pull those levers and get them to perform at the level you need them to. And especially if you're a high performer as well, you're expecting others to behave in a similar way. So really understanding how to manage yourself is the essence of leadership, right? It's self-evaluation, self-monitoring, self-soothing, decision-making when it starts to move outward, right? Like, how do I work well with others? And being able to do that really well can create a more calm and relaxing environment, even if you're pushing. Because you're saying, like, we're all happy to be here together, and we're going to go kick butt.
So when you're in those situations, though, I would imagine someone's personal life, like, they're doing parental care, kids care. Does that interplay with your work?
Yeah, I mean, I love this conversation around bring the whole person to work now, which
aren't we holistic?
when I grew up, it wasn't like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
So you checked it at the door.
Your work
grew up
life
old
and your
school.
personal life.
Old
they-
school.
they do
You
not
turn
mix.
it off.
You checked it at the door.
You check it at the door.
When you
So-
clock in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we obviously have like a residue of that. Like, people still behave in that manner, but I think that we're definitely seeing a shift where companies are being more thoughtful around creating, whether it's benefits or progressive parental leave, where now the dad has options. I think we are moving toward a more humanistic approach to how we sort of get those results from people, if you will.
I have to say, your passion for this shine through.
Oh,
So if
great.
an entrepreneur is excited and needs to get to you today, how do they get to you?
Yeah, so I'm pretty easy to find. I'm on LinkedIn, probably most, and it's just / Megan Marini. My website is meganmarini.com. My email is megan@meganmarini.com, and it's the Gaelic version. It's MEGANMARINI.
Great interview, Megan.
Thank
Great.
you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show. Remind everyone, of course, we've been speaking with Megan Marini, founder of Megan Marini Consulting. I want to ask everyone to follow us on LinkedIn as well as connect with Megan, but our LinkedIn page is a great way to see all of our past interviews, as well as radioentrepreneurs.com. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back after these messages.